Hello, my name is Deborah Owens. I'm a Howard alum.
Yeah.
You know. But I saw the first film, and I, as I was looking at the second film, which parts of it were really heartbreaking. Some in a bad way, but some in a good way that just emotionally just caught me. But I also saw your children. And I would think that even if you're not in prison, it's hard raising 6 boys. So my question is, because you hear a lot of people say, my parents were incarcerated and sometimes their kids, stray. Can you share with us how you were able to parent your boys? And it looks like they've all pursued their interests. How did you do that? Being incarcerated and then you were incarcerated?
We did it together. Because no matter where we are, when we are family, we are together. And so I think that was one of the strengths of that. Oh, that's not me, huh? One of the strengths that we have is understanding we understood the institution of family. And that the institution of family is more powerful than anyone, or important than any one member of that family. And so what I would really like to do is allow Rob, because it's one thing to have your hands tied behind your back when you parent, but then to have cement walls and concrete and guards around you when you're trying to parent. I think his journey to parenting from behind bars is even more impressive.
I don't know if I was ready for that one. I would probably have to say that for me the parental journey was kind of challenging because it makes you have to kind of give up a lot in order to hold on to something. And that said, it was probably maybe about 3 or 4 years into my incarceration. I happened to read a men's health journal, and in the men's health journal it was dedicated to fathers during Father's Day. And it was talking about the amount of time that fathers typically spend with their children on average in a month. And when I read the numbers from it, I realized that the average father is spending about 8 hours a month engaged with their children. And then so I started thinking, well, if I get, my standard 2 visits a month, if we get there early enough and if she'd be willing to stay late enough, I had twice as much time as the average father spends with their child or their kids engaged. So if I be intentional about how I spend my 16 hours or plus during the course of my visit time, then that allowed me at least to rival to some degree with the average father that was competing, in a much different set of circumstances. And so my role as a father, I gave up the role of fathering my children while I was incarcerated. I became a coach. Because the one thing that I realized is that coaches, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, basketball, or any boxing or whatever, whether you're on the skirt of the ring or on the side of the field, side of the basketball court or whatever, coaches have, for as long as they've been coaches, have raised some great men to do, and women, to do some really remarkable things in our lifetime. And so much like the role of the coach, that takes place on the sideline. In fact, it's a penalty for the coach to enter the ring or enter the court or enter certain spaces, as a coach during an active game, much in the same way that me as an incarcerated father, I didn't have the liberty to be engaged in my children's lives where I could go to weekly meetings or, those kind of things. So much of mine just kind of became a coaching process. And then to now look back on it in hindsight and see how it is that my kids bought in because they had their own point to prove. Once they realized that we were willing to give them the truth of our family set of circumstances, but that still didn't mean that you don't have a right, that you don't have a duty to compete. So you don't have an excuse simply because I'm incarcerated to say that you can't excel or you can't compete at a certain level. And that being said, I think each of them in their own respective ways, they took on the responsibility of being successful despite the circumstances that their family had been dealt. And so